Yo, what's going on, guys? Hello. It's been a while since I made a video here with my camera, but the new rune crafting event is out. So I thought it would be time to make another video where we talk about what's best to take, why we take it, why we don't take it, things like that. So first thing I want to say, this is not a +6 event, guys. So do not mistake this with the events where you craft the rune, you roll the rune to +6, you get your 18 speed, you have a way higher chance of rolling 30 speed. This is not that event. This is an event where we craft a rune. You can choose the main stat, you can choose the type, you can choose your you can roll for your substats, and then you just roll the rune raw dog in it, you know? You just roll it. Another thing that's important to note in this event is this line right here. So this line says you cannot select the same main property for the same rune type. So what this means is you are not able to make 4 violent speed slot 2s. You can make a violent speed slot 2, you can make a will speed slot 2, you can make a swift speed slot 2, but you cannot make 2 of the same set. All right. So after we've gotten those out of the way, let's jump into the event. So you guys generally know how the event works. If you obtain runes, artifacts, grinds, gems, use them. Use crystals, gain crystals, you get points, right? You use the points to select your rune type, your slot, your main stat, and then your substats. And then you use points to re-roll your substats. So right here under event craft 4 6-star legendary runes, you have this part that says select rune type, select rune number, select main property, and then change sub properties. This here, right here, step 4 is the step you will be on for a while. This is where you re-roll the substats of the rune when you're looking for the 4 lines you want. Additionally, looking for preferably 4 high or near max rolls. This is an event where patience is a virtue. Spending more time rolling for better substats means that no matter what, your rune will be better, even if you min roll, right? If you have all max starting stats and you min roll everything, your rune will be better than if you started with like a couple min rolls, a max roll, and like a mid roll, right? Obviously that's very straightforward, but I do want to emphasize that patience is very important in an event like this. If you are super impatient, you're welcome to just take the rune, roll it. Good luck. I hope you get, 30 speed. I hope you get 29 speed, whatever it is. But I always mention this because there are people who take these runes that just don't really know that they should keep re-rolling it. So let's get into it. We don't really need to talk about the other portions of the event. Event 3 is you can get grinds and gems. Event 4 is that you can get 1 of each artifact type. And then event 5 is just a bunch of rewards. But I want to get into the meat and bread of this actual event. So the things we'll be covering in this video are going to be what are the best runes to pick, why we're choosing these runes, why we're not choosing other runes, what substats to take on each main stat and set, and then a final note as a consideration for endgame players specifically. So I think in an event like this, the best runes to pick are going to be your speed slot 2s, which will be violent or will with a consideration for swift or despair. Your HP slot 6 Vio wills with a also consideration for swift or despair. Attack slot 6 violent or will with a small consideration for swift, but not a high one. HP slot 4 violent and will, and crit rate and crit damage violent slot 4 and will slot 4. There's a small consideration additionally for despair and revenge, but only for crit rate main and not for crit damage main. So with these runes that I've suggested, these 5, I guess arguably 6 if you include the crit damage one here, the reason I chose to put them in this order is because I think that there's a lot of flexibility in substats when you're looking at these runes that allow them to be used in multiple content, right? If we look at a speed slot 2, for example, a speed slot 2, if you take 3 grindables and then either crit rate or accuracy, it's always going to be something that's usable regardless of how bad it rolls, especially when it starts out at legend and it has like all max rolls or close to max rolls, right? If you min roll everything, that rune is still pretty decent. Like, overall, after grinding that rune, it's still going to be significantly better than a lot of the runes that you farm, just because of how difficult it is to farm that specific slot, that specific set, and then also how much you need of it, right? When you're playing Siege or you're playing RTA, you're always going to be short on violent sets. You could always use more violent sets, more will sets. right? More Swift sets. Like there are just so many opportunities to use them or build more counters or have more flexibility. So that's why I put these 6 runes up here, because I think that they are the most commonly used ones, but also they have the highest chance of being usable under any circumstance, right? So the worst outcome you can have is if you get 4 min rolls and 1 in each stat. And the reason it's specifically 1 in each stat is because if you dodge one of the stats, you can actually gem it out for a higher value of the same stat, which gives you more overall efficiency on the rune. But if you min roll in every stat, 1 in each, then if you're starting with max roll and then you get a min roll, it's always going to be higher than the gem unless you hit the legend gem for the +1 difference, which is generally not going to be worth it. So again, assuming the worst outcome, these runes are still going to be usable for you, with the exception of maybe the crit rate and the crit damage slot 4. Those ones are a lot harder to use when you roll 1 in each and they're all low. But again, you know, the chance of rolling quad min roll 1 in each is pretty low. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. I just always said that that as the, if the worst possible thing happens, is the rune still usable for you? If it is, then great, right? You probably picked the right rune in that situation. Assuming mid rolls are even high rolls, like let's say you roll, you know, double speed and then like 2 mid rolls, so like 6% HP, 6% attack or something, right? That rune is going to be extremely hard for you to replace on your account. It's very, very strong. It is probably one of those runes that will take you months to get a replacement for or get a better one. So that's, again, you know, why we choose these runes. The next category was why not other runes. And I think we kind of covered this with why we choose the runes, but I want to highlight them again, because there's a couple considerations people don't always take. So when you're taking other sets or even like other slots, especially 135s, like 135s are very replaceable and easier to farm because you don't have to farm for a main stat, right? The main stat is always fixed on a 135. So in runecrafting events, I would never ever suggest anyone to take a 135 unless we talk about that endgame consideration, which I will talk about later in the video. But the next aspect of it is that when you're taking these other 246s, so like let's say you're taking a, you know, an attack slot 4, for example, there are very few units that use this. It is a good rune and it's important to have it on your account, but you're more likely going to farm one that's usable and not necessarily need to spend an event crafting that specific rune when you could be crafting something that will help the overall depth of your account, right? Being able to build more units on equivalent sets is probably more important than building one super crazy, insane, super strong set. The other thing is that the risk versus the reward is really rough, especially if you're a newer player or a mid-game player. I don't think you should be taking big risks in this situation. You should be taking something that's safe. You should be taking something that's going to improve your account, because missing that progression boost chance is kind of painful, right? Like if you miss the shot at hitting even like 16 speed on an HP slot 6 with 2 rolls and anything else is pretty good. If you rolled like 16 speed, 12 defense, and like 12 accuracy, like that rune is still really, really good. It may have low rolls in it, but overall the stat distribution makes it equivalent to like a max purple or better. Right? And the last thing that I think is really important for why you wouldn't take certain runes is that this rune specifically is something that you don't re-app. So if you were going to take something and you're like, oh, I'm going to re-app this rune if it doesn't roll well, I really want to urge you not to do that. If you want to understand why, I will link the re-app video. It'll be up in the corner up there. I did a really great re-apps guide with Lucky Madman. Used to be the leader of SWC, is now a malicious member. But we talk about why we don't re-app runes with no innate stats. I don't think you should take a rune from this event with the concept in your mind of, if it doesn't roll well, I'll just re-app it. It's generally not worth it, with the potential exception for a speed slot 2. But again, I still as a general populace, I urge you not to do that. It's going to be a big waste of resources. You're going to find something usable regardless, as long as you listen to the advice given here. So now let's get into the really, really meaty stuff. So people want to know, Tyler, what do I put on my runes? What substats do my runes need, right? So I'm going to go over it here. So speed slot 2, you're going to want HP, defense, and attack, and a choice between accuracy or crit rate. For your HP slot 6, you're going to want defense, speed, and attack, and a choice between accuracy or crit rate. For an attack slot 6, you want HP and speed, and then you have a choice between defense, crit, or accuracy. For HP slot 4, you're going to want speed, defense, accuracy, and attack, with a small consideration for either resistance or flat HP, but a very small consideration if you're really looking for a less flexible rune in that sense. For your crit damage and crit rate slot 4s, you're always going to be looking for 4 grindables. So you're going to be looking for speed, defense, attack, and HP. On the crit damage rune, you could take a small consideration for crit rate, either over the attack or over the defense, depending on what you want the rune for. So the reason that these substats are so important is because when you take HP, defense, attack, speed, these are grindable substats. Now what that means is that you can amplify the stat value. So with a legendary grind on speed, you can go +5. On a legendary grind on accuracy or attack, defense, and HP, you can go up to +10. So if you somehow manage to roll 40% HP on a rune and you grind it max, your rune is now 50% HP. With accuracy and crit rate, since both of those stats cap at 100, they don't have grinds, right? But they do have gems. You're able to find these in other places. In a perfect world, on a slot 2, if this was a +6 event, you would be chasing 18 crit or 24 accuracy and then hoping for a quad roll. But because the event isn't a +6, just taking all of the grindable stats plus one stat that's still really valuable and hoping you hit well is probably the best way to approach this event. It's going to be the safest option. It's probably going to give you the best payout. And then for your other slots that aren't speed mains, you absolutely have to have speed on your rune. You probably also absolutely want to have HP or defense or attack on your rune. And then in most cases, you take third grindable. So you would take whatever's missing, attack, defense, HP, speed. Whatever the main stat is, you drop that, you take the other 3, and then it's accuracy or crit rate, right? For the HP slot 4 specifically, crit rate is definitely less common of a line. I think for HP slot 4, crit rate is not usually relevant. There are very specific siege builds where you'll use it, and very specific niche RTA builds like a triple HP Diana with high crit. But overall, like I said, we're looking for depth. We're not looking to make something that is extremely niche. You know, that one rune that this unit will use super, super well. So overall, these are the best considerations. Again, if you guys have questions, just leave them in the comments for me. I always answer every question, every comment that I can. If you're confused about what to take, why to take it, please leave a little bit of information for me. Say like, hey, this is where I am in the game. These are the runes I was considering. This is why I want them. What are your thoughts? If you ask me a question like that, where there's context, I am so much more likely to give you a better answer just because I have a better understanding of where you are in the game, what you want to do, and kind of where your head's at. So the last thing I want to talk about, guys, is the end game consideration. So the end game consideration is something that a lot of people will want to do regardless if they're end game. And the end game consideration is where you can take a huge gamble on a specific rune that you need. And if it doesn't hit, this rune is probably useless for you. So an end game consideration would be something like taking a swift rune with speed and hoping to hit, especially on a specific slot. If you really wanted like an HP slot 6 swift with speed, accuracy, defense, flat HP or attack, that is an end game consideration. It is a huge gamble because if you don't roll at least, I want to say at least 21 speed, that rune is probably not getting used in most cases. In Siege, it's most likely never getting used. In RTA, it's very unlikely you build a Swift unit that doesn't use triple speeds. And pretty much everywhere else, it's not that great. Once you cross like C2, C3 border, you start needing to push for triples in a lot of things. So endgame consideration is super specific gambles. In this case, though, it might be worth it to a lot of players. Filling that gap that you're missing can very well be a lot more important than getting more depth on your account. If you're somewhere where you're very comfortable doing high level G3 Siege, you're very comfortable in G2, G3 RTA, you're very comfortable doing your comfortable G3 Arena every week, whatever it is, whatever consideration you feel like you're at in the game, filling a gap is 100% worth it as an end game player. As an end game player, I guarantee you that you should gamble. Okay, that's a weird way to say that. I urge you to gamble at least 1, maybe 2 of your runes, because you can still pick up 2 runes that are safe and good, and you can pick up 2 things that might be the biggest account game changers for you if you're lucky. So for me, I think the account game changer is probably going to be a Swift slot 4 HP percent. Maybe a crit rate. And looking for speed chasing. The second rune that I'll probably do is... I think I'll probably do an accuracy or an HP slot 6 despair. It's less of a gamble than the Swift one, but I might just do 2 Swift runes. I might gamble 2 Swift runes. Other than that, though, I'm definitely going to be taking a speed slot 2 for violent, and most likely an HP slot 4 for violent, because as a siege player, I know that I can use the HP slot 4 even if it doesn't roll high speed. Like, I can use the really tanky runes, I can use the high crit runes. Like, I have that flexibility with the units that I build. So yeah, that's pretty much the end game consideration. I hope that you guys managed to hit something really, really good. If you do hit something good, leave it in the comment below. Even if it's like a month later, like, I'd be happy to know all the cool things you guys hit. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.